Hi.
Hi, everyone.
This is Arlena. I'm Carla. And we are
Don't mess with the Mommas. MOMMAS with our motto.
You are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
Carla, take it away.
Okay, so today we will be talking about, is anyone listening? Okay? And the importance of listening. And some of the questions, we'll have some questions, of course. And the first one is, what does it mean to really listen? Arlene, you want to?
Sure. And this is where the whole concept of dialogue comes in, because many people listen just to be able to get their point across. They're listening. They say, oh, that person needs to hurry up and say what they're going to say so I can get my point across. And they're not open, and they're not vulnerable to the other person. And to really, really listen with an open heart takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of humility. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read a few things because
sure.
This is really dear and dear to my heart, close to my heart. Because again, I think dialogue, and not that I think dialogue. I mean, dialogue is one of the most important ways that we can really achieve true harmony among differences, and really achieve world peace through dialogue, through really sharing our hearts, because we're all human beings, and some people are more human than others. But to really share and be willing to listen to other people's experiences, even if they're totally different from yours, belief systems totally different from yours, but to really be able to perceive the other person. So if you don't mind, So being a good listener is a courageous, altruistic act. More than communication skills, it is a spiritual practice. Doesn't seem like it would be spiritual, right?
True.
Spiritual practice that helps relieve the suffering of others and elevates one's own state of life. The importance of developing empathy and not sympathy. Empathy, really caring for the other person, but not looking down as if they're incapable of achieving anything. To really look at that person as an equal, whether they're richer or poorer than you, whether they're a different color, none of that really matters, different part of the world. And the practical benefits of dialogue, sorry to read so much.
That's okay.
Creating safe spaces to allow the speaker to examine their situation objectively, to gain wisdom through listening, tap into the deeper human wisdom and find commonality, strengthen our ties. Genuine listening fosters trust, and trust is such an important word. That's how you develop trust, through dialogue, and prevents imposing your own views. And we need patience and sincerity. Never be condescending. Don't be judgmental, really listening. And a perceptive listening, to strive to perceive the true significance of what is the underlying meaning of the words. Many people could say certain things, but what are they really trying to say? What's really in their hearts? And having been a teacher for many years, I find that young people don't get listened to. Nobody's willing to listen to them because they think, oh, they're crazy, they're this and that. And every generation says the same thing. They're weird, we're not going to listen to them, they're bizarre, whatever. But to really listen to what they're saying, and not even if they're acting out, and even if they're freaking out, why? What's underlying all of that? It's sort of being a therapist without getting paid to do therapy, but to really listen to that person's heart and where they're at, and not to be judgmental. What do you think?
Well, I learned this morning that active listening is also active watching.
Okay.
It's looking at the person and really focusing in on what they have to say.
Right.
Which means that you can't be here looking at them, but someplace else in your mind. You have to be actively engaged in paying attention. And I think that's a very hard thing for us to do. And it gets worse as you get older.
Why do you think?
Because dementia's probably filtering in. Your mind is, and I know that I'm guilty of this. I'll be looking at you, but my mind will be 3,000 miles away or something else I'm doing. It's all, and and it's really comes down to being able to hear what was the last thing the person had to say. If you miss that last thing, they know you haven't been in the conversation. So
And then you have to ask them, can you please
Could you
repeat what you
that
just
again?
said? And they said, what did I just say? I don't remember.
So active listening is also about really looking at the person. And I remember when I first met Japanese people, like really close, personal, relationship, I couldn't understand their English. And because I couldn't understand their English, I had to listen even more intently.
That was a benefit.
To what they were saying. And then because I developed that skill of listening, then I was able to listen to anybody else, and I was able to help people who weren't listening. Well, who had that problem? Oh, because they don't speak English. I was able to tell them, you have to really pay attention. Just listen, and you'll get it.
And what's so interesting is that we can communicate in so many different ways. Sometimes we don't even realize the ways we can use our skills to communicate. When you think of communicating with an animal, they don't use words at all, but you can understand exactly what they're saying. So to really perceive and not to think, I'm better, I'm worse, just to really perceive that individual, to take them as a whole being. And I find that that's so thrilling. I remember a long time ago, when Spencer was very, very young, I said, to me, meeting a new person is like going to the candy store, because I just love people. You do as well. We're both very people-oriented. And he said, well, Mom, some candies are sour. But that's okay too. Even the sour people you'll learn from, and you'll understand more about them. But it's the opening up. And so many people, especially in certain places in the world, people are not used to opening up. When you're from New York, you know that person in 5 minutes. They'll tell you everything, and they'll tell you their whole life story. But some places, they're much more reserved. But to really, really be able to perceive the individual, the whole individual, and not being judgmental, I think, is the hardest thing. Because then people shut down. Then they don't tell you anything.
I think it's also about winning somebody's heart.
Yeah, absolutely. The heart.
The heart. Once you win a person's heart, you've got them, and that's important.
The heart. There's something wonderful about the heart, but I can't find it. Okay, the conquest. Well, I'll just read a little bit more. Sorry about reading.
That's okay.
The conquest of our own prejudicial thinking, our own attachment to difference, is the necessary precondition for open dialogue. Such discussion is essential for the establishment of peace and universal respect for human rights. And then some more. In this disconnected, fast-paced society where there are few opportunities for meaningful dialogue with others, many are suffering in isolation. That's why it's important to put aside our differences and really listen to others, sharing their pains and sufferings as fellow human beings. The caring heart, capable of listening in this way, has the power to open people's minds, to dispel anxiety and to heal mental wounds. It takes a human heart to touch a human heart. So what you just said about winning them over with your heart, otherwise people won't trust you if they feel like you've got another agenda in some way, or just don't really care.
Yeah. My friend Anne, she told me that, I was telling her about this little boy in my neighborhood and how he welcomed me, not knowing me at all. And I just fell in love with him. And so I made connection with him, and we talked, and we talk about his artwork and what's he doing. And my friend told me, she says, that's a very nice thing that you did, because most of the time children aren't listened to.
Absolutely.
And that you should give him that time and attention, So I was really impressed with that somebody thought of that deeply about what I had done.
And I think
And it also opened up the door because my neighbors saw me interact with these children. They're not my ethnicity, but they saw that these kids came up to me and hugged me and loved me, and they said, "Well, we love you too." You know, I said, "Hey, once you say hello to me, we're a friend forever, because you didn't have to do that." You know, so can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What have your experiences been with listening?
So I think that I'm not the best listener because I'm a very impatient person. But I think as a teacher, when I was teaching psychology, and I determined that I'm really going to get to know my students on a level that you don't often get the opportunity to get to know students if it was a different subject entirely. And when they would share their struggles with me, and we developed a very trusting environment, so much so that after they had their advanced placement exams, we did group therapy, which was totally illegal, but we sat around and shared so much of very personal things, and I shared as well. But listening to their struggles, I used to cry every day with them. And, you know, that sharing of our hearts was so important for their lives. And I think that class was really important. I'm a firm believer of all schools should require students to take a psychology class because it gives the opportunity to be able to talk about what their lives are experiencing. So I think that young people, more than anyone, of course everybody needs to be listened to, but young people really need somebody to really listen with an open heart. So I think that was my experience. And I know that recently somebody shared how they said good morning to somebody in an elevator, and that guy said, "That's the first time in a year that somebody actually addressed me in the elevator, not knowing me." So how important it is, as you just said, when you say hello to somebody, you become a friend for life. How important to say one kind word each day to people, or just to smile at them, or just to make that life-to-life connection. That is the treasure. The true treasure in life is the treasure of the heart, as you were just talking about. And I think when you are truly listening and having that kind of in-depth dialogue, you are sharing a treasure of the heart. And there is just nothing greater. Whether you come out of the conversation understanding a little bit more or a lot more about the other individual, it doesn't matter. And sometimes it takes, as you said, many, many, many times, you know. But to have the patience and the determination to really share our hearts and to connect with other people's hearts, isn't that what life is about? Isn't that what it means to be human, really? Or just life itself. I mean, I can't wait for our little dog Zoe to start talking because she'd have so much to say. But we communicate through just love, you know, and that deep caring.
Yeah.
So,
You know, I think that people are afraid. They're afraid to open themselves up. And that's why they don't stretch out, they don't reach out, because they're afraid. They don't know what that's about, you know.
but if you don't do that in life, you just have so much regret. You know, you have to overcome that fear because it's just another human being. I don't care if you're the wealthiest person financially. I don't think that that's wealth at all. I think the true wealth is the human spirit. But whether you're the wealthiest person, whether you have a position of power, whatever it is, or whether you're a homeless individual who's really struggling in life, everybody is worthy of respect and everybody has something to say. So we have to challenge that fear because we're all human. We're all human. It doesn't matter where you are in life, we're all human. And I think I shared a while back in another episode how it was my birthday. I was 30 years old. I was really depressed. I was walking in the subway in Manhattan and I passed this guy. I was a little bit nervous to pass him because he was slumped down on the and he looked very drunk. He was slumped down on the subway station platform. And as I passed, this is so weird. I know I didn't hear it. I mean, I know I didn't mistake it. He looked up and he said, "Happy birthday." So that person in the environment was, to me, he was golden. He was amazing.
He was your benefit.
He encouraged my life so much. So, to overcome that fear of the other. Now, of course, we can't be stupid. I mean, if somebody's, looking
Wielding
dangerous,
a knife.
wielding a knife, like say, well, gee, I think I'll have a
think I'll
dialogue.
pass this one up.
But to overcome that fear, because there is no other. As Martin Buber, a very famous philosopher, said, the other. We can't look at like is the other. You're not the other. You're part of an extension of me, because we're all interconnected,
True.
because we're all one. So overcoming fear is super duper important.
And everybody's a reflection of ourselves, be it
Right.
good or bad. They are.
Absolutely, yeah. Even to be living in a time where difficulties arise, somehow we have the cause in our life to see those difficulties. So to look at everything as an opportunity.
Yeah, and our behavior will help people to gain trust.
Yes.
They'll gain trust. They'll get to know us, and then maybe they'll talk with us.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to listen and share dialogues and be friends, and the circle will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So.
And you're doing it with such a smile, so how could you not want to share, right, with that smile? And that's important too, to smile no matter what you're going through. Nobody knows what you're going through, but with a smile, if you wear a smile, people can open up. A smile is worth 1,000 words. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A smile is worth 1,000,000 words.
Hey, I agree.
So with that, I think that's it. We're a little bit shorter today. Love this. This is so wonderful. Encouraging words. Live with a dancing spirit. The stars in the heavens are dancing through space. The earth never ceases to spin. All life is dancing. The trees in the wind, the waves on the sea, the birds, the fish are all performing their own dance of life. Every living thing is dancing, and you must keep dancing too for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. So with that, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget,
we are Don't Mess with the Mommas.
Mommas. You can find us on YouTube and all other platforms, and we would love to hear from you. Mommas, mommas.podcast@gmail.com. And don't forget our motto. Once again, we'll say it until it becomes something sticks or clicks. You wake up in the morning and you say, okay, I'm the protagonist. So don't forget,
you are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have an amazing day. Yay. Bye.